Part 1. Introduction and Early America. First, peoples. Find a comfortable position in your bed, dear listener. Perhaps you are tucked under a quilt in a quiet American home, the kind with soft lamplight glowing on wooden floors and windows that look out on familiar streets or wide-open fields. Let your shoulders sink into the pillow. Breathe in slowly through your nose, feeling the cool night air fill your chest, and exhale gently through your mouth, letting every little worry drift away like leaves on a slow autumn stream. With each breath, your body grows heavier, warmer, more relaxed. Tonight, we will not rush. We will wander together through the peaceful, flowing tale of America itself, the land, the people, the quiet dreams that have shaped this great country. Not the loud parts you might find in thick books, but the gentle, easy-to-follow story told in soft words, like a lullaby whispered on the wind. Let my voice wrap around you like a warm blanket. Let the words carry you toward sleep, one slow sentence at a time. Long, long ago, before any clocks ticked or flags waved, the vast land we now call America lay sleeping under a blanket of stars. Picture it with me. Endless forests whispering to one another, tall trees swaying softly in the breeze, their leaves brushing together like friends sharing secrets. Wide rivers flowed lazily through green valleys, their waters sparkling under the moon as if they were singing a low, steady song. Mountains stood tall and silent, wrapped in mist that rose each morning like gentle breath from the earth itself. The sky stretched wide and deep blue, and the sun rose each day in a slow golden arc, warming the soil without hurry. In this peaceful world lived the first peoples of the land. They moved with the rhythm of the seasons, never rushing, always listening to the earth. Their homes were simple and beautiful, wigwams of bent branches and soft hides, or longhouses nestled among the trees. Families gathered around fires at night, sharing stories that floated upward with the smoke, stories of how the rivers were born from the tears of the sky and how the mountains were shaped by the careful hands of time. They hunted and fished with quiet respect, taking only what they needed, giving thanks with every step. Children played along the riverbanks, their laughter mixing with the gentle splash of water over smooth stones. Women tended gardens of corn, beans, and squash that grew tall and strong under the sun. Men walked the trails through the woods, their feet knowing every root and rock as if the land itself spoke to them in a language of wind and leaf. Life moved slowly here, like the great Mississippi River winding its way south, carrying leaves and petals without effort. Tribes lived in harmony with one another and with the animals, deer that stepped lightly through the ferns, eagles that soared in wide, lazy circles overhead. There were no clocks, no hurry, only the steady beat of the drum in evening gatherings, a sound that matched the heartbeat of the land. The people knew the stars by name and followed their paths across the sky each night. They watched the moon grow full and fade again, marking the passing of moons instead of years. Everything felt connected, part of one great breathing family. The air smelled of pine and sweetgrass, and the wind carried the soft voices of elders telling tales of creation. This was America in its earliest, quietest days, a place of balance, beauty, and gentle living under the open sky. Time flowed onward, as rivers always do. Far across the ocean, in lands where the sun also rose each morning, other people began to dream of new horizons. Their ships sailed slowly across the wide Atlantic, pushed by steady winds rather than storms. When they arrived on these shores, they stepped onto the sand with wonder in their eyes. The land welcomed them in its own quiet way. Forests opened small clearings, rivers offered fresh water that tasted of the earth. The first settlers built small wooden homes with their hands, logs fitted together like pieces of a puzzle. They learned from the first peoples how to plant and harvest, how to read the signs of the seasons. Life was simple again, days spent clearing fields with steady swings of axes that rang softly in the woods, evenings around hearths where bread baked and stories were shared in low voices. Colonial towns grew slowly like wildflowers after rain. In places that would one day be called Virginia and Massachusetts, families worked side by side. Children helped gather eggs from chickens that clucked contentedly in the yard. Women spun wool into yarn by the fire, the wheel turning with a rhythmic hum. Men mended fences and tended crops that swayed in the breeze. The air filled with the sweet scent of wood smoke and blooming apple trees. Churches stood tall and white, their bells ringing softly across meadows at sunset. Markets bustled gently on certain days, with people trading corn for cloth, fish for tools, always with a nod and a smile. Neighbors helped neighbors raise barns, their hammers tapping in steady rhythm while songs rose into the clear air. Part 2. Founding of the Nation, Westward Expansion, and Healing. The land itself seemed to stretch and yawn, making room for these new dreams. Rivers carried small boats downstream, their oars dipping quietly into the water. Forests thinned here and there, but remained full of birdsong. The sun still rose each day in its golden arc, warming new fields and old forests alike. People began to speak of freedom in soft voices around kitchen tables, the words feeling as natural as the wind through the leaves. They wrote letters by candlelight, the quill scratching gently across paper, dreaming of a life where every person could follow their own quiet path. This was not a time of thunder, but of slow, steady building, like laying one brick after another until a strong, warm house stood ready for generations. As the years turned like pages in a well-loved book, the people of these colonies felt a deeper longing stir within them. It was not loud or angry, but a gentle pull, like the tide drawing the sea back from the shore. They gathered in meeting halls lit by oil lamps, their voices low and thoughtful. Wise men with powdered wigs and kind eyes sat together, writing words on parchment that would one day be read under the same wide sky. They spoke of rights given by the Creator, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not as shouts, but as quiet truths that settled into the heart like morning dew on grass. The declaration they signed felt like a soft promise whispered to the future. Soon, a new nation took its first gentle steps. The Constitution was written with care, like a father crafting a cradle for his child. Men debated in Philadelphia's warm summer air, their quills moving slowly across paper as they shaped a government that would protect the people's dreams. 3 branches, like strong arms of a great oak tree, balanced one another. States joined together, not in haste, but with the steady patience of farmers planting seeds they knew would grow in time. The flag, with its 13 stripes and stars, was sewn by careful hands, each stitch a quiet act of hope. George Washington, tall and steady as an old oak, became the first leader, riding his horse along quiet paths as he guided the young country with calm wisdom. The new nation breathed deeply and began to grow. Wagons rolled westward across rolling plains, their wheels turning slowly over grass that waved like a green sea. Families looked out at mountains that rose purple against the sunset, their peaks catching the last light like crowns of gold. Rivers such as the Missouri and the Columbia flowed onward, carrying canoes and flatboats with gentle currents. Pioneers built log cabins in clearings, the sound of chopping wood echoing softly through the trees. Children explored forests filled with the scent of pine and the call of owls at dusk. farms spread across the Midwest, where corn grew tall enough to hide a boy or girl standing among the stalks. The land opened its arms wider, offering fertile soil and clear streams to anyone willing to work with patient hands. Cities began to appear along the coasts and rivers, Boston with its cobblestone streets that echoed softly under boots, New York with its harbor where ships arrived like gentle visitors from the sea, Philadelphia where the Liberty Bell rang with a low, sweet tone that carried on the breeze. People from many lands arrived, bringing their own quiet traditions, songs sung in different tongues around supper tables, recipes shared over fences, hands joining to build schools and churches. The air filled with the smells of baking bread, fresh-cut hay, and the faint salt of the ocean. Factories hummed in the distance, their wheels turning with the same steady rhythm as the rivers outside. Trains chugged across the plains, their whistles sounding low and lonely under the stars, connecting distant towns like threads in a great quilt. Even when challenges came, as they do in any long story, the land held its people gently. There was a time of division when brothers on both sides of a great river felt the weight of hard choices. Yet the story tells of healing too, slow, patient healing, like a wound closing under the soft touch of time. Abraham Lincoln, with his tall hat and kind eyes, spoke words of unity that settled into hearts like warm rain on dry earth. Soldiers laid down their arms, and families began to mend fences and rebuild homes. The nation learned, in its quiet way, that strength comes from coming back together, from listening to the wind that blows the same over every field and mountain.
Part 3. Modern America and Closing Lullaby. As the years continued their gentle march, America grew taller and stronger, yet still soft at its core. Factories rose in the north, their smokestacks sending gentle plumes into the sky, while machines spun cotton into cloth with a rhythmic clatter that sounded almost like a lullaby when heard from a distance. Railroads stretched like silver ribbons across the continent, carrying people and goods with steady, soothing speed. Inventors tinkered in workshops lit by oil lamps, their hands creating wonders, light bulbs that glowed softly in homes, telephones that carried voices across miles like whispers on the wind. The Statue of Liberty lifted her torch high in New York Harbor, her copper skin turning green with time, welcoming newcomers with a silent promise of hope. Ellis Island bustled quietly as families stepped onto American soil, eyes wide with the same wonder the first settlers once felt. The 20th century unfolded like a long, peaceful evening. Cars rolled along new roads that curved through valleys and over hills, their engines humming low as families drove to picnics by lakes that reflected the clouds. Airplanes crossed the sky, leaving soft white trails that faded slowly into blue. Radio voices filled living rooms with music and news, the static crackling like distant rain on a tin roof. People worked in offices and fields, always returning home to supper tables where stories were shared, and children were tucked into bed with the same gentle words their parents once heard. Wars came and went, but the nation's heart turned again and again toward peace, toward rebuilding, toward the quiet dream of a better tomorrow for every child. In the decades that followed, America's story grew even richer with color and voice. Cities sparkled at night with lights that twinkled like extra stars brought down to earth. Highways carried travelers past golden wheat fields in Kansas, red rock canyons in the west, and misty blue mountains in the east. Families gathered for barbecues on summer evenings, the smell of grilled corn and burgers drifting on warm breezes, while fireflies danced in the grass. Schools filled with children from every corner of the world, their laughter ringing through hallways like the soft chime of bells. Music played everywhere, Jazz from New Orleans drifting down the Mississippi, country songs from Nashville farms, rock rhythms from garages in California suburbs, each note adding its gentle thread to the nation's song. Technology arrived softly, like dawn creeping over the horizon. Computers glowed with soft blue light on desks, connecting people across oceans with the tap of a key. The internet wove invisible threads between homes, allowing grandparents in Florida to see grandchildren in Alaska with the click of a button. Satellites circled high above, silent guardians watching over the land. Yet the old rhythms remained. Rivers still flowed, winds still whispered through forests now protected as national parks, and families still sat on porches at twilight, rocking in chairs while the sky turned from orange to deep purple. Today, America rests under the same wide sky that once watched the first peoples walk its trails. From the rocky coasts of Maine to the sunny beaches of California, from the snowy peaks of Colorado to the gentle swamps of Louisiana, the land still breathes slowly and deeply. Cities hum with quiet energy at night, streetlights glowing like fireflies, cars passing with the soft whoosh of tires on pavement. Farms stretch under moonlight, their silos standing tall and silent. Small towns keep their porch lights on, inviting neighbors for a cup of coffee and a story. People of every background live side by side, sharing festivals where food from many lands fills tables and music blends into one harmonious sound. And now, as this long, flowing tale draws to its close, feel how your body has grown heavier with each gentle word. Your eyelids feel soft and heavy, like curtains ready to fall. The rivers of history have carried you here, to this moment in your own American home. You are part of this story now, the next quiet chapter waiting to be written in your dreams. The land that has seen so many sunrises still holds its people in its gentle embrace. Tomorrow will come softly, just as every tomorrow has. But for night, there is only peace. Let the wind outside your window whisper the final lines. Let the stars above your roof watch over you as they have watched over this land for centuries. Breathe in once more and out, feeling every muscle relax completely. The story of America is not finished. It simply rests, just as you may rest now. Sleep is coming, soft and sweet, like the slow close of a well-loved book. Good night, dear listener. Dream of wide rivers and open skies, of gentle fields and quiet homes. America's heart beats steadily, and so does yours. Good night, everyone. Thanks.